Nigeria as a country does not work. Again, the north of, again, I'm trying not to make this an us against them a type of live stream, but I cannot ignore it. The north of Nigeria is so different from the south. Like totally different. Totally different. And when we are talking about building Nigeria and moving it forward, we have to acknowledge that. We cannot ignore the flaw in our structure as a country. We cannot ignore that. We cannot ignore how flawed we are as a country. This is the kind of leadership we need in Nigeria. We need a system. Exactly. Last month, I don't think tribalism is not the biggest. Tribalism is not the biggest. Corruption is the biggest issue. Corruption is the biggest issue in Nigeria. Corruption is the biggest issue in Nigeria. And the reluctance of acknowledging the differences of Nigerians is keeping us hindered. Nigeria as a country does not work. Again, the north of, again, I'm trying not to make this an us against them type of live stream, but I cannot ignore it. The north of Nigeria is so different from the south. Like totally different. Totally different. And when we are talking about building Nigeria and moving it forward, we have to acknowledge that. We cannot ignore the flaw in our structure as a country. We cannot ignore that. We cannot ignore how flawed we are as a country, the structure, and then just say, okay, let's just fix it. No, you cannot.
Yeah, I just wanted to go to the point of the discussion that you said, what must we do to be involved politically? And I want to use an example of something that I'm currently working on, a consultancy for an international NGO that works with local grassroots level NGO in supporting like democracy and holding government accountable at a very local level. And the
Yeah.
way they do it is that they use the communities themselves to hold the people accountable. So like 4 years ago when they piloted the program, they had started this civic education thing, and so we did it. It didn't really work out because again, this project is piloted in Lagos, and Lagos political structure is very complicated. But just to share an idea from the evaluation meeting that we had and what they suggested, because I think it's a very powerful thing that, ties into or could be an opening to this conversation that you're talking about. So basically the NGO like looked at the analysis of what we're proposing for the next 4 years, and they were like, yeah, we like the civic education where you're basically, the Nigerian people, the mass population have to be politically educated. They have to know their rights. They have to know that the government work for them. But it didn't work in the last 2 years, basically. It wasn't successful. We like the idea. But because of the sort of like political tug culture in Lagos, where a specific political party, is very aggressive and violent and, you know, create a lot of problems. So it's very difficult to be non-partisan, if you understand what I mean. So they said, okay, you know what? Instead of us to focus too much on the political leaning, how about we design the project in such a way that grassroots people are now, like, we help them to create opportunities for them to identify who their constituency leaders are, both at the state level and at the federal level, and assist them in requesting town hall meetings with those people. Like, they have to meet the people that represent them because those are the people that matter to them. If you're talking about primary education, public health at the very grassroots level, the PHCs, as they call it in local government, like the primary healthcare centers, the governor is not in charge of that. The representatives of at the state level and at the federal level are in charge. So the whole idea is, let's pilot the projects in a way and distribute it at local community, where you set a process for the people to know who does what for them and who is representing them. Put a face to it, then help support them in writing to their representatives to say, we need to see you. You're representing Ilupeju. You need to have a town hall with us. You cannot be in Abuja and we don't see you for 4 years. Then when it's time for election, you come and share rice to a group of people and they rig election for you. So I think as a diaspora, I saw somebody in the comments saying that we need to organize, but we need to organize in a way that connects back to the grassroots level, because no matter how much we are passionate about Nigeria from outside and even from a private sector perspective, the change that Nigeria will have, the people that will change Nigeria are in Nigeria. We can support strategically, we can support with our resources, but as long as we're not living there, to be honest, we have power, but we have a different kind of, we have global soft power from what we can do from the outside. But from the inside, we have to find ways to support the people, support grassroots. It's a long-term investment. If we are, as a community of Nigerian diaspora, if all of us pick things as a group that we are doing, we can move state to state or local government to local government. We're doing this. You're enrolling kids in school. You're paying for kids' school meals, which can be like $10 a month, decade before we can see any kind of difference. I think I'll leave it there for now.